He splashed mud water on his ex-wife while driving his fancy car through the puddle. He didn't know she was now married to a billionaire. He didn't know she owned the company he worked for. He did it because he wanted to hurt her one last time, to make her feel small and broken like before, unaware that the woman he just called a worthless failure was actually the secret owner of his entire empire. Mark laughed as he sped away in the rain, leaving Anna covered in dirty water, her nice dress ruined, her eyes full of tears. Hello friends, welcome to our story. Before we start, please like the video and subscribe. Also, tell us in the comments where you are watching from: New York, London, maybe South Africa or Jamaica. We want to know. The rain poured down like tears from the sky on that busy city street. Anna stood there, her umbrella broken from the wind, waiting for her driver. She looked so elegant now, with her hair done up nice, wearing a red coat that hugged her body just right. But inside, her heart beat fast when she saw the car coming. It was him, Mark, her ex-husband, the man who had shattered her world 5 years ago. Mark drove his shiny black SUV, the one he thought made him look important. He saw her standing there, looking better than ever, and anger boiled up inside him. How dare she look happy? How dare she move on? He revved the engine, aimed right for the big puddle next to her, and splashed it hard. Muddy water flew up like a wave, soaking her from head to toe. She gasped, her mouth open in shock, as cold water dripped down her face, mixing with the hot tears starting to fall. Mark rolled down his window and yelled, "Look at you, Anna, still a worthless failure, huh? That's what you get for being ordinary." His laugh echoed in the street, mean and loud, like thunder. People around stopped and stared, some whispering, others shaking their heads. Anna's hands shook as she wiped the mud from her eyes. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was her husband, the billionaire, calling to check on her. But right now, all she felt was the old pain coming back, sharp like a knife. She remembered the day he left her, pregnant and alone, calling her baggage he didn't need. Now here he was doing it again. But this time, things were different. She wasn't the same weak woman. She had power now, secrets he couldn't imagine. As Mark drove off, still chuckling to himself, Anna straightened her back. A small smile crept on her lips through the tears. This splash wasn't the end. It was the start of his downfall. The water dripped off her coat, making little pools at her feet. Her shoes, once shiny, now covered in grime. She could feel the cold seeping into her bones, but it was nothing compared to the fire burning in her chest. Revenge. Sweet, slow revenge. Mark had no idea what was coming. He thought he was on top, with his job at the big company, his new girlfriend hanging on his arm. But that company, it was hers. All of it. Anna took a deep breath, the smell of rain and mud filling her nose. She flagged down a taxi instead of waiting for her driver. She needed time to think. As she sat in the back seat, watching the city lights blur by, her mind raced. How did they get here? From love to this hate? It all started years ago when she gave everything for him. But why did Mark hate her so much? What made him turn so cruel? The taxi drove through the rainy streets, and Anna closed her eyes. The sound of the wipers going back and forth took her mind far away, back to a time when her heart was full of hope. Back to the day she first met Mark. It was a sunny afternoon in a small coffee shop near the university. Anna was 23, working 2 jobs to pay for her business studies. She wore a simple blue apron, her brown hair tied in a messy ponytail, and a warm smile that lit up the room. The smell of fresh coffee and warm pastries filled the air. She carried a tray of cups, moving fast between tables, when she bumped into someone. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said, looking up. There he was, Mark, tall with kind blue eyes and a shy smile. He had spilled a little coffee on his shirt, but he didn't seem angry. "No, it's my fault. I wasn't looking," he laughed softly. His voice was gentle like a warm hug. He helped her pick up the cups that had fallen. Their hands touched for a second, and Anna felt something, like a spark in her heart. From that day, Mark came to the coffee shop every afternoon. He sat in the same corner, pretending to read a book, but really watching Anna. He was studying engineering, dreaming of starting his own tech company one day. But money was tight for him too. His parents had passed away young, and he worked part-time fixing computers to survive. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky orange, Mark waited until Anna finished her shift. He stood outside the shop, holding a single red rose he had bought with his last few dollars. "Anna," he said, his cheeks red, "I know we don't know each other well, but would you like to have dinner with me sometime? Nothing fancy, just us." Anna's heart jumped. No one had ever looked at her like that, like she was the only person in the world. She nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, Mark, I would love that." Their first date was simple. They walked in the park, eating cheap sandwiches they bought from a street vendor. Mark told her about his big dreams, building a company that would change the world with new technology. Anna listened, her eyes wide with wonder. She believed in him from the very first moment. "I want to make something big," Mark said, looking at the stars starting to appear. "But right now I feel so small, like I can't even afford a proper meal." Anna took his hand. "You are not small, Mark. You have a fire inside you, and one day everyone will see it. I'll help you. We will do it together." And she meant it, every word. Soon they were in love, deep, beautiful love. Mark would surprise her with little notes in her books. "You are my everything." Anna would save her tips to buy him small gifts, a new shirt, a book about business. They rented a tiny apartment together with creaking floors and a leaky roof, but to them it was a palace. Every night, they lay in bed, holding each other close. Mark would rest his hand on her cheek and whisper, "Anna, you make me believe I can do anything. I don't know what I would do without you." She would smile and kiss him softly. "You will never have to find out. I'm here forever." They got married 1 year later in a small garden ceremony. Anna wore a simple white dress she had saved for months to buy. Mark cried when he saw her walking toward him. Their friends and family were few, but the love was huge. They promised to love each other in good times and bad, in sickness and health, forever. After the wedding, they worked harder than ever. Anna quit school to work full-time as a waitress and a cleaner. Mark worked on his ideas late into the night. She brought him coffee when he was tired, listened to his plans, and gave him ideas that made his eyes light up. "You are the smartest person I know," he would say, pulling her close. "This company, it's going to be ours. You and me against the world." Anna felt so happy. She was building a life with the man she loved. Soon they started trying for a baby. When the test showed positive, Anna cried tears of joy. She ran to Mark, holding the stick in shaking hands. "Mark, we're having a baby." He lifted her up and spun her around, laughing and crying at the same time. "Oh, Anna, this is the best day of my life. Our little family. I promise I will work hard. I will make us rich and safe. You and our baby will never want for anything." Anna believed him. She trusted him with her whole heart. She rubbed her belly gently, feeling the tiny life inside, and dreamed of the future. Mark successful, their child running in a big garden, all of them happy. But dreams can break, and hearts can change. As the months passed, Mark's small business started growing. Investors noticed him. Meetings became more fancy. He wore better suits. He smiled more at parties. And slowly, very slowly, Anna noticed his eyes looking at her differently. He stopped saying "we" when talking about the company. It became "my company." He came home later. He looked at his phone more than at her. Anna told herself it was just stress. He was working hard for them, for the baby. But deep inside, a small fear started to grow. Was the man she loved still there? Or was something changing forever? What made Mark's heart turn cold? When did love turn into something dark? Anna was now 6 months pregnant, and every day felt heavier than the last. Her belly had grown round and full, stretching the simple dresses she wore. She would stand in front of their small mirror in the tiny apartment, placing both hands on her stomach, feeling the baby kick softly. A tired but happy smile always came to her face. "We are doing this for you, little one," she whispered. "For a better life." Mark's company was starting to take off. He had finally built a working model of his tech idea, a smart app that helped small businesses grow. Investors were calling. Meetings filled his days. But money was still tight. Rent was due, bills piled up, and they had to buy things for the baby. A crib, clothes, diapers. Anna never complained. She woke up at 5 a.m. every morning. First job. Cleaning offices before anyone arrived. She scrubbed floors on her knees, even as her back ached and her feet swelled. The smell of strong cleaners made her feel sick, but she breathed through her mouth and kept going. She thought of Mark and the baby and pushed through the pain. By 9 a.m., she was at the restaurant, waitressing the breakfast rush. She carried heavy trays of food, smiling at rude customers, running from table to table. Her legs hurt so much by noon that she had to sit for 5 minutes in the bathroom, rubbing her ankles, tears in her eyes. But she never told Mark how bad it was. She didn't want to worry him. In the evenings, she came home exhausted, cooked dinner with whatever cheap food they had, then sat with Mark while he worked on his computer. She brought him tea, rubbed his shoulders when he was stressed, and listened to his dreams. Anna, this investor meeting tomorrow could change everything, Mark would say, his eyes bright with excitement. If they say yes, we'll have real money. You won't have to work anymore. You and the baby will live like queens. Anna would kiss his forehead. I believe in you, Mark. I'm proud of you. Just keep going. She used all her savings, every cent she had hidden away for years, to help him. She paid for his new suit for meetings. She bought him a better laptop when his old one broke. She even sold her mother's old necklace, the only thing she had left from her parents, to pay for printing business cards and flyers. Mark noticed her growing tired. He saw the dark circles under her eyes, the way she walked slower now with the weight of the baby. But instead of helping more, he started pulling away. He stayed later at work meetings. He smiled less at home. When she tried to hug him, he would say he was too busy. One night, Anna waited for him until midnight. She had made his favorite meal, chicken and rice, even though standing in the kitchen made her back scream in pain. When Mark finally came home, he smelled like expensive perfume. Not hers. Sorry, babe, he said quickly, not looking at her. Long meeting. Big people. You wouldn't understand. Anna's heart felt a small crack, but she pushed it down. It's okay. I saved dinner for you. He barely ate. He went straight to his computer. Anna sat on the couch, rubbing her belly, feeling the baby move. Tears rolled down her cheeks quietly. She was so tired, so scared. But she told herself it was temporary. Once the company succeeded, everything would be good again. Weeks passed. Anna's doctor visits showed she needed more rest. Her blood pressure was high. She felt weak sometimes, dizzy. But she kept working. She had no choice. One day, she came home early from work because she almost fainted at the restaurant. She found Mark on the phone, laughing in a way she hadn't heard in months. Yes, Sophia, I'll be there. The gala sounds amazing. Can't wait to see you in that dress you told me about. Anna froze in the doorway. Sophia? Who was Sophia? Mark turned and saw her. His face changed just for a second. Guilt flashed in his eyes. Then he smiled like nothing was wrong. Oh, hey Anna. You're home early. Who's Sophia? Anna asked, her voice small. Just a business friend. She's helping with investors. Rich family, you know. Connections. Anna nodded slowly. She wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him. That night she couldn't sleep. The baby kicked hard, like it felt her worry. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to Mark breathe next to her. He used to hold her every night. Now there was space between them in the bed. Cold space. The next week, Mark got his big investment. A huge amount of money. He came home jumping with joy, waving the check. We did it, Anna. We're rich. The company's going to explode. He hugged her quickly, then started making calls. Plans for new offices, new employees, parties to celebrate. Anna smiled through her pain. I'm so happy for you, Mark. For us. But deep inside, something felt wrong. He didn't say we anymore when talking about the future. He said I. Anna kept working until she was 7 months pregnant. Her body screamed for rest, but bills still came. Mark said the money was tied up in the business. He bought himself new clothes, a better car. But when Anna asked for help with doctor bills, he got annoyed. "You're almost due. Just stop working already. I'll take care of it later." But he didn't. Anna's love was still strong. She looked at his face and saw the man she fell in love with. She told herself he was stressed. Success changed people for a while, but he would come back to her. He had to. She decorated the small nursery corner with things she bought secondhand. She folded tiny clothes, dreaming of holding their baby. She whispered to her belly every night, "Daddy loves us. He's just busy. Soon he'll be here with us all the time." But Mark was slipping away, and the worst day was coming. Would Mark ever see how much Anna was giving? Or was his heart already turning to someone else? The day everything shattered started like any other. Anna was 7 months pregnant now, her belly large and heavy. She moved slowly around the apartment, folding tiny baby clothes with careful hands. The sun came through the window in soft rays, warming the room. She hummed a lullaby to the baby, feeling small kicks in response. A smile stayed on her face. Today Mark had promised to come home early. He said they would go by the crib together. Finally, sometime just for them. She waited all morning, then all afternoon. She cooked his favorite meal again, beef stew that filled the apartment with rich, warm smells. She set the table nicely, even put a flower from the windowsill in a cup as a centerpiece. Her back hurt badly, but she ignored it. This was going to be a good night. They needed it. By 7 p.m., Mark still wasn't home. Anna called him 3 times. No answer. She sat on the couch, rubbing her belly, worry growing in her chest like a dark cloud. The baby moved restlessly, as if it felt her fear. At 9 p.m., the door finally opened. Mark walked in, but something was wrong. He didn't look happy or tired like usual. His face was hard, cold. He carried a suitcase in one hand. A big one. "Mark." Anna stood up slowly, her voice soft. "Where were you? I was worried. Dinner is ready, and—" "Stop, Anna." His voice cut through the air like ice. He didn't look at her belly. He didn't look at her face. He stared at the floor. "We need to talk." Anna's heart started pounding. She felt suddenly cold, even though the room was warm. "Talk about what? What's in the suitcase?" Mark took a deep breath. He finally looked at her, but there was no love in his eyes. No warmth. Only something cruel and empty. "I'm leaving, Anna. It's over." The words hit her like a punch. She couldn't breathe for a second. "What? Mark, what are you saying? We have a baby coming. We're married. You promised." "I don't want this anymore," he shouted suddenly, making her jump. His face turned red with anger. "Look at you. Pregnant, tired, ordinary. You're just baggage. Dead weight holding me back." Anna felt tears fill her eyes instantly. Her hands went to her belly, protecting the baby. "Baggage? Mark, I gave everything for you. I worked 2 jobs while pregnant. I sold my mother's necklace for your business. How can you say that?" Mark laughed, but it was a mean laugh. No joy in it. "Your little jobs? That necklace? That was nothing. Sophia showed me what real money looks like. Real class. Her family owns half the city. She's beautiful, exciting. Not like you. Always tired, always complaining." "Sophia," Anna whispered. The name from the phone call. It all made sense now. The late nights. The perfume. The distance. "Yes, Sophia," Mark said, proud now. "We're together. She's the one who got me the big investors. The real ones. Not your pathetic savings." Anna started crying hard. Tears ran down her cheeks as she stepped toward him. "Mark, please. Think about the baby. Our child needs a father. I need you. I love you. We can fix this." He stepped back like she was something dirty. "Love? You think this is love? Dragging me down? No, Anna. I'm finally free. Sophia is taking me to places you'll never see. Galas, private jets, real life." Anna fell to her knees, holding her belly. Pain shot through her back, but the pain in her heart was worse. "Please don't leave us." she begged, her voice breaking. I'm 7 months pregnant. Where will I go? How will I live? That's not my problem anymore, Mark said coldly. He opened the drawer and took out papers. Divorce papers he must have prepared in secret. He threw them on the table. Sign these. I don't want anything from you. Not even the kid. Anna looked at the papers through blurry tears. You don't want our baby? It's your baggage, not mine. He picked up the suitcase. I'm done being tied to a worthless failure like you. With those final words, he walked to the door. Anna crawled after him on her knees, reaching out. Mark, please, don't do this. The door slammed shut. The sound echoed in the quiet apartment like a gunshot. Anna collapsed on the floor, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. The baby kicked wildly as if crying too. The stew on the stove went cold. The flour on the table wilted. Everything felt dead. She lay there for hours, crying until no more tears came. Her phone buzzed. Texts from friends asking if she was okay. She didn't answer. The pain in her chest was too much. She felt broken, empty, worthless, just like he said. Outside, rain started to fall, tapping on the window like sad fingers. Anna pulled herself up, holding the wall for support. She looked around the apartment, at the baby clothes neatly folded, the empty side of the bed, the divorce papers staring at her. How would she survive this? Alone, pregnant, with no money and a broken heart? Could Anna ever heal from words that cut so deep? Or was this the end of her? The days after Mark left turned into a gray blur for Anna. She lay on the cold floor of the apartment all night, her body curled around her belly, as if she could shield the baby from the pain. Every breath hurt. Every heartbeat felt like it was cracking her chest open. The divorce papers sat on the table like a cruel joke, staring at her. Morning came, but Anna didn't move. The sun rose and filled the room with light, but it felt cold. She finally pulled herself up, legs shaking, and looked around. Mark's clothes were gone from the closet. His laptop, his books, his shoes, everything that was his had vanished. Only her things remained, and the tiny baby clothes she had folded with so much love. She touched her belly. It's just us now, little one, she whispered. Her voice sounded broken, hoarse from crying. The baby kicked softly, as if saying, I'm here, Mommy. Anna signed the divorce papers with a shaking hand. Tears fell onto the paper, smudging the ink. She had no choice. Mark had already taken what little money they had in their joint account for business expenses. The rent was due in 2 weeks. She had no job. She had been forced to quit waitressing because the manager said a woman so heavily pregnant was a liability. The cleaning job had ended too. Her body simply couldn't take it anymore. She had $47 in her purse. That was all. The next week was a nightmare. The landlord knocked loudly one morning. Rent? Anna, I know Mark left. I'm not running a charity. She begged for more time, promised to pay soon. He gave her 10 days. Anna walked the streets looking for any work. Her belly made it hard to move fast. People stared. Some looked with pity, others with judgment. She went to every cafe, every store. Do you need help? I can clean, I can cook, anything. Most said no. One kind old lady at a bakery gave her a free loaf of bread and a sad smile. Nights were the worst. She lay in the empty bed, one hand on her belly, crying quietly so the neighbors wouldn't hear. She missed Mark's warmth beside her. She missed his voice, even when it had turned cold. She kept replaying his words, worthless failure, baggage. They echoed in her head like poison. At 8 months pregnant, the complications started. One night, sharp pains shot through her stomach. She doubled over, gasping. She called an ambulance because she had no one else. At the hospital, the doctor was gentle but serious. High blood pressure, stress. You need rest and care. This baby could come early if you don't take it easy. But I have no one, Anna cried. No money, no family, nothing. The nurse held her hand. We'll help as much as we can. They kept her overnight. Social services gave her a small emergency grant, just enough to pay 1 month's rent and buy basic food. She moved to a tiny, cheaper room in a bad part of the city. It smelled of mold. The walls were thin. She heard arguments and crying through them every night. But it was a roof. Labor came early, at 35 weeks. It was sudden and terrifying. Anna was alone in her room when the pains started. She called a taxi with her last dollars and got to the hospital just in time. The birth was long and hard. Hours of screaming pain. No one to hold her hand. No one to tell her she was strong. Just Anna and the nurses. When the baby finally came, a tiny boy with dark hair and loud cries, Anna sobbed with joy and heartbreak at the same time. She named him Liam. It meant strong-willed warrior. She held him close to her chest, his little body warm against her skin, his tiny fingers wrapped around hers. In that moment, looking at his perfect face, something inside Anna shifted. The pain was still there, huge and heavy, but now she had a reason to fight. The hospital bill was enormous. She had no insurance. They let her pay a little each month, but it hung over her like a dark cloud. Back in the tiny room, life became survival. Liam cried often. He was premature and needed special formula that cost more. Anna applied for every government help she could find. She stood in long lines at food banks, holding Liam in a second-hand carrier against her chest. People gave her used baby clothes, bottles, diapers. She was grateful, but every gift reminded her how far she had fallen. She barely slept. Liam woke every 2 hours. She fed him, changed him, rocked him in her arms while tears ran down her face. Some nights she sat on the floor, too tired to stand, and just cried with him. "I'm sorry, baby. Mommy is trying so hard." Friends from the old days called once or twice, then stopped. They didn't know what to say. Anna felt ashamed. Ashamed of being abandoned. Ashamed of being poor. She stopped answering the phone. One of the lowest moments came when she saw Mark by accident. She was walking to the store, pushing Liam in a broken stroller someone had given her. Across the street, there he was, Mark, in a new expensive coat, arm around Sophia. They were laughing, getting into a shiny car. He looked happy, rich, carefree. Anna froze. Her heart stopped. Mark glanced her way for a second. Their eyes met. For one tiny moment, she thought he might feel something, guilt, regret. But then his face hardened. He turned away quickly, said something to Sophia, and they drove off. Anna stood there in the cold, tears freezing on her cheeks. Liam started crying. She bent down, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "It's okay, my love. We don't need him. We have each other." But inside, the pain was unbearable. She felt invisible, forgotten, like she and Liam were nothing. Months passed like this endless struggle. Anna's body was weak from poor food and no rest. Her hair started falling out from stress. She looked in the cracked mirror one day and didn't recognize herself. Pale, thin, eyes empty. She prayed every night, on her knees beside the bed. "Please, God, send me help. Send me strength. I can't do this alone anymore." Was anyone listening? Would life ever give Anna a break? Or was this suffering all that was left for her and her son? Anna's days blurred into endless cycles of exhaustion and quiet despair. Liam was almost a year old now, a chubby little boy with bright eyes and a laugh that could melt the hardest heart. But even his joy couldn't fully chase away the shadows in Anna's soul. She worked odd jobs when she could find them. Babysitting for neighbors, sewing clothes for a small shop, cleaning houses on weekends. Her hands were rough and calloused, her back always sore. The tiny room they called home felt smaller every day, with its peeling wallpaper and the constant drip from the faucet that she couldn't fix. One rainy afternoon, Anna sat on the worn-out couch, feeding Liam his lunch of mashed potatoes and a bit of apple she had scraped together. The rain pattered against the window like tiny fingers tapping for attention. Liam giggled, smearing food on his face, and Anna forced a smile. "You're my sunshine, little man," she whispered, wiping his cheek with a soft cloth. Her phone rang, a rare sound these days. She glanced at the screen. An unknown number with a fancy area code. Probably a bill collector. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. "Hello." A smooth, professional voice came through. "Is this Anna Thompson?" formerly Anna Reynolds. Anna's heart skipped. Reynolds was her maiden name, from before Mark. Yes, that's me. Who is this? My name is Mr. Harold Jenkins, attorney at law. I'm calling on behalf of the estate of Mr. Elias Reynolds, your grandfather. Anna frowned, confusion washing over her. Grandfather? I never knew my grandfather. My parents died when I was young, and they never mentioned him. There was a pause. Yes, Miss Thompson. Your grandfather was estranged from your father due to family disputes, but he kept track of you from afar. He passed away last month, and in his will, he left you a significant inheritance. We need you to come to our office to discuss the details. Anna's hand trembled so much she almost dropped the phone. Inheritance? It sounded like a scam. Is this real? I don't have money to travel or anything. Mr. Jenkins chuckled gently. It's very real, Miss Thompson. We'll cover all expenses. A car will pick you up tomorrow morning. Please bring identification and any documents you have about your family. The call ended, leaving Anna staring at the wall. Her mind raced. Grandfather? Money? Felt like a dream, or a trick. That night she barely slept. She held Liam close, listening to his soft breathing, her heart pounding with hope and fear. What if this was a mistake? What if it changed everything? The next morning, a black luxury car pulled up outside her building. The driver, a kind-faced man in a suit, helped her with Liam's bag. Miss Thompson? This way, please. Anna hesitated, then stepped in. The leather seats were soft and warm, a world away from the hard bus seats she knew. Liam cooed at the new sights, his little hands waving. The drive took them to a tall glass building downtown, the kind Anna had only seen from afar. The lobby smelled of fresh flowers and polished wood. Mr. Jenkins waited in a big office with huge windows overlooking the city. He was an older man with silver hair and a warm smile. Come in, Anna. May I call you Anna? She nodded, holding Liam tightly on her lap. Yes, please. Tell me what's going on. Mr. Jenkins opened a thick folder. Your grandfather, Elias Reynolds, was a successful businessman. He built a chain of tech companies, ironically in the same field as your ex-husband's work. Anna's eyes widened at the mention of Mark, but the lawyer continued. He regretted cutting off your father and wanted to make amends. He left you his entire estate, properties, stocks, and cash totaling over $500 million. Plus, a controlling share in his main company, Reynolds Tech. Anna's mouth fell open. The room spun. $500 million? That's impossible. I can't even pay my rent. It's yours, Mr. Jenkins said softly, sliding papers toward her. We verified your identity through DNA records he had. Sign here, and we can start the transfer. Tears streamed down Anna's face, joy mixed with shock, making her laugh and cry at once. Liam reached up and touched her wet cheek, babbling. Mama! Yes, baby? She whispered, hugging him. Mama's okay. More than okay. The lawyer explained more. Homes in the city and countryside, cars, bank accounts bursting with money. But the biggest shock was the company. Reynolds Tech was huge, bigger than Mark's startup. And now Anna owned it. As she signed the papers, her hands shook. The pen felt heavy, like it was rewriting her life. Mr. Jenkins smiled. Welcome to your new world, Anna. If you need anything, advisors, security, it's all arranged. Leaving the office, Anna felt light, like she was floating. The driver took her back, but this time, she noticed the world differently. The city lights seemed brighter. Possibilities opened up in her mind like flowers blooming. First, she paid off all her debts with a simple call to the bank. The relief was immense, like a weight lifting from her chest. She breathed easier. Then, she moved Liam and herself to a temporary luxury apartment the lawyer arranged. It had soft carpets, big windows, and a nursery room just for Liam. He crawled around, eyes wide with wonder, laughing at the space. Anna stood in the mirror that night, looking at herself. Her face was still pale, her clothes old and worn. But her eyes had a new spark. Power. She had power now. The next days were a whirlwind. Advisors came, financial experts, lawyers, business coaches. They taught her about the company. Reynolds Tech made advanced software, and it was thriving. Anna learned fast, her old business studies coming back. She hired a nanny for Liam, a kind woman who made him giggle. But the miracle wasn't just money. It was a second chance. One evening, walking in the park with Liam, pushing his new stroller, Anna met someone. A tall man with gentle eyes bumped into her, much like how she met Mark years ago. "Oh, sorry," he said, steadying her. His name was David, a billionaire philanthropist who owned several charities. He was kind, funny, and saw Anna. Not her money, but her strength. They talked for hours that day about life, dreams, pain. David had lost his wife young and raised a daughter alone. He understood her scars. As weeks turned to months, David became a friend, then more. He showed her a world of kindness, not cruelty. He helped her navigate her new wealth without pushing. And slowly, Anna's heart began to heal. She kept her fortune secret from the world, especially Mark. She changed her last name back to Reynolds. Got a new look. Stylish hair, elegant clothes. No one from her old life knew. She watched from afar as Mark's company grew. But she smiled knowing hers was bigger. The shock of the inheritance faded into joy. Anna felt reborn. Strong. Ready. But with this new power, what would Anna do? Would she use it for good, or let the pain drive her to something darker? Anna stood in front of the full-length mirror in her new penthouse bedroom, hardly recognizing the woman staring back at her. The old Anna, the tired, broken woman who once scrubbed floors on swollen knees, was fading away, like a shadow burned off by bright morning light. Her hair, once dull and pulled into a messy ponytail, now fell in soft, shiny waves down her back, styled by one of the city's best salons. Her skin glowed from proper rest, good food, and gentle treatments. The elegant black dress she wore hugged her body perfectly, showing off curves that had returned now that she was healthy and strong. High heels made her legs look long and confident. Simple diamond earrings sparkled in the light, real diamonds, a gift from David on her birthday. But the biggest change was in her eyes. They no longer carried fear or shame. They carried fire. Quiet, steady fire. Liam, now 2 years old, toddled into the room, his little shoes making soft thumping sounds on the marble floor. "Mama pretty," he said, clapping his hands. Anna knelt down, careful in her dress, and scooped him up. He smelled like baby shampoo and cookies. She kissed his chubby cheek, feeling her heart swell. "Yes, baby. Mama feels pretty today," she whispered, and she meant it. For the first time in years, she felt whole. The transformation had not happened overnight. It took months of hard work, quiet tears, and fierce determination. First came the body. Anna hired a personal trainer and a nutritionist. They were gentle with her, understanding what her body had been through. She started slow, walking in the park with Liam, then light yoga, then stronger workouts. The pain in her back slowly faded. Her energy came back. She slept full nights because Liam had his own room and a nanny to help when needed. Good food, fresh fruits, vegetables, lean meats, replaced the cheap meals she once scraped together. Her cheeks filled out. Her arms grew strong. She looked in the mirror one day and saw a woman who looked powerful, not broken. Then came the mind. Anna dove into learning everything about Reynolds Tech. She sat in board meetings at first just listening, quiet in the corner, taking notes. The executives were mostly older men who smiled politely but didn't expect much from the young heiress. She didn't mind. She studied late into the night after Liam was asleep, books on business, finance, leadership. She took online courses. She asked questions until she understood every part of the company. One day, 6 months in, she walked into a meeting and corrected a major mistake the CFO was about to make. The room went silent. She laid out the numbers calmly, her voice steady. From that day on, they listened when she spoke. Soon, she was making decisions. Big ones. The company grew faster than ever under her quiet, smart leadership. She changed her name legally back to Anna Reynolds. No more Thompson. No more reminders of Mark. She built a wall around her past. No social media, no interviews, no old friends. Only David and a few trusted people knew her full story. David. The thought of him made her smile widen. He had been patient, kind, never pushing. Their dates started simple: coffee, walks, dinners at home with Liam. He played with her son, read him stories, made him laugh until his belly hurt. Liam called him Dada one day by accident, and Anna cried happy tears in the bathroom. David asked her to marry him on a quiet evening in the countryside house she now owned. Just the three of them under the stars. No big show, just love. Yes, she had said, tears streaming. 1,000 times yes. Their wedding was small and beautiful. Liam carried the rings in a little wagon. Anna wore a simple white gown that flowed like water. David looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. When they kissed, Anna felt truly safe for the first time in years. Now, 5 years after the betrayal, Anna was a force. Reynolds Tech was one of the biggest companies in the country. She donated millions to single mothers, to premature babies, to women starting over. She built shelters and programs in secret, never wanting praise. She just wanted to help others who had been where she was. But deep inside, a small part of her still hurt when she thought of Mark. She followed his life from afar through business news. His company had grown, but not as fast as hers. He married Sophia. They had flashy parties, big houses, fancy cars. He looked happy in photos. Anna never hated him anymore. She had let go of that poison. But she hadn't forgotten. David noticed when she got quiet sometimes. "You don't have to see him ever again," he would say, holding her. "I know," she answered. "But one day he will see me, and he will know what he lost." Anna kept her ownership of Reynolds Tech hidden from the public. She ran things behind the scenes. Mark's company had even partnered with hers on a few projects. He had no idea the silent investor signing the checks was his ex-wife. She stood taller now, walked with purpose, spoke with quiet power. People respected her without knowing why at first. Then they saw her work, her kindness, her strength. Liam ran to the window, pointing. "Big city, Mama." "Yes, baby," Anna said, joining him. The city sparkled below them, full of lights. "It's our city now." She felt like a phoenix, burned to ashes by betrayal, then rising stronger, brighter, with wings of fire. The old Anna was gone. This new Anna was unbreakable. But power like hers doesn't stay hidden forever. And revenge, even quiet revenge, has a way of finding its moment. How long could Anna keep her secret? And when Mark finally saw the truth, what would it do to him? 5 years had passed since the muddy splash on that rainy street. The city had changed a little. New buildings rose higher, lights shone brighter, but Anna had changed the most. Anna Reynolds, wife of billionaire philanthropist David Harrington, mother to 6-year-old Liam, and the silent, absolute owner of Reynolds Tech, lived a life most people could only dream of. Their home was a sprawling penthouse on the top 3 floors of the tallest residential tower in the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the skyline like a painting that changed every hour. In the mornings, soft sunlight poured in, warming the marble floors. Liam's laughter echoed through the halls as he chased their golden retriever puppy around the living room. The air smelled of fresh coffee and warm croissants that the chef prepared every day. Anna stood on the balcony now, wrapped in a soft cashmere sweater, watching the sunrise paint the sky pink and gold. David came up behind her, arms sliding around her waist, chin resting gently on her shoulder. His cologne was light and familiar, sandalwood and citrus. She leaned back into him, feeling safe, cherished. "Good morning, my love," he whispered, kissing the side of her neck. His voice was deep and warm, the kind that made her heart calm even on stressful days. "Good morning," she answered, turning in his arms to kiss him properly. Their kisses were still soft and slow, full of the quiet love that had grown stronger every year. Liam ran out onto the balcony, barefoot and grinning. "Mama, Daddy, pancakes are ready." He grabbed both their hands and pulled them inside. Anna laughed, the sound light and free. This was her world now. Peaceful mornings, family breakfasts, plans for weekend trips to their countryside estate, where Liam could run in real grass and pick apples from their orchard. At work, no one outside her inner circle knew the full extent of her power. In board meetings, she was simply Mrs. Harrington, the sharp-minded advisor who always knew the right move. Reynolds Tech had doubled in value under her leadership. She funded research, created thousands of jobs, and quietly bought out smaller companies that were struggling, saving families from ruin the way no one had saved her. She dressed elegantly but never flashy. Tailored suits in soft colors, minimal jewelry that still cost more than most people's houses. Her hair was always perfect, her smile warm but guarded. People called her graceful, intelligent, inspiring. They had no idea of the fire that had forged her. David knew everything. He had listened to her story on quiet nights, holding her when memories made her cry. He never pushed for revenge. "You are better than that pain," he would say. But he supported whatever she chose. He loved her strength, her kindness, the way she protected their family like a lioness. Meanwhile, across the city, Mark's life was cracking at the edges. His company had grown fast at first, fueled by Sophia's family connections. They lived in a big house in an exclusive neighborhood, drove luxury cars, threw lavish parties. Mark wore designer suits and smiled for photos in magazines. But cracks were showing. Sophia spent money faster than he could make it. Private jets, designer bags, endless vacations. Investors started pulling back. Competitors, companies quietly backed by Reynolds Tech, were eating his market share. Deals fell through at the last second. Employees left for better offers. Mark worked longer hours, shouted more at staff, drank more at night. Sophia grew bored. She flirted openly at parties. Rumors spread. Mark pretended not to notice, but his eyes looked tired, his smiles forced. He still thought about Anna sometimes. Not with love, with bitterness. He convinced himself she was probably struggling, maybe on welfare, raising his rejected child alone. The thought made him feel powerful, justified. He had chosen the better life. He had no idea that the woman whose life he tried to destroy now held his entire future in her hands. Anna watched it all from a distance. Her private investigators sent quiet reports. She read them in her office late at night, after Liam was asleep and David was working on his charity projects. She never smiled cruelly. She didn't cheer Mark's pain. But she didn't stop what was coming either. She had already begun the first quiet moves. Small decisions in boardrooms that hurt Mark's partnerships. Silent investments that blocked his growth. Nothing illegal. Nothing he could trace. Just the slow, steady pressure of someone far more powerful. One evening, David found her in her office, staring at a photo on her desk, the old one of her and Mark on their wedding day. She kept it hidden in a drawer, a reminder of how far she had come. "You okay?" he asked softly, sitting beside her. Anna closed the drawer. "Yes, just thinking about how different life is now." David took her hand. "You deserve every bit of this happiness, Anna. You built it from nothing." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I know, and I have you and Liam. That's all I need." But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "Almost all." The rainy day splash had been the spark. Mark had reminded her that he was still out there, still cruel, still thinking he had one. Anna wasn't cruel by nature, but she was done being invisible. She kissed David goodnight, checked on sleeping Liam, then went to her computer. One email to her most trusted advisor. Begin phase 2. Quietly. The wheels were turning. The stage was being set. Mark thought he was still the king of his little world. But soon, very soon, he would come face to face with the woman he had thrown away. And when that day came, would he even recognize the queen standing in front of him? The charity gala of the year was only 2 weeks away. The annual Tech Leaders Ball, held in the grand ballroom of the city's most luxurious hotel. Crystal chandeliers, red carpets, photographers flashing cameras, millionaires and celebrities rubbing shoulders. Everyone who mattered in business would be there. And this year, for the first time, Anna and David Harrington had accepted the invitation. Anna stood in her walk-in closet, running her fingers along the row of evening gowns. She chose a deep emerald silk dress that shimmered like forest leaves under moonlight. Simple, elegant, unforgettable. When she wore it, she would look like power wrapped in grace. David watched her from the doorway, arms crossed, a soft smile on his face. "You're sure about this?" he asked quietly. Anna met his eyes in the mirror. "I'm sure. It's time." She didn't want blood. She didn't want screaming fights or public scenes, not yet. What she wanted was slow, precise justice. The kind that creeps up quietly and destroys everything a man like Mark values. His pride, his reputation, his empire. Phase 1 had already begun, months ago, in quiet boardrooms and late-night emails. It started with small cuts. Reynolds Tech owned several key patents that Mark's company desperately needed for their new product line. Without access, they would fall years behind competitors. Mark had been negotiating for months with the anonymous holding company that controlled those patents. He offered good money, then better money, then begged. Anna read every desperate email he sent to her lawyers. She never answered herself. She just delayed. "We're reviewing the proposal. Additional due diligence required." Weeks turned into months. Mark's launch date slipped. Investors grew nervous. Then came the partnerships. One by one, major clients that Mark had spent years courting suddenly pulled out. "We've decided to go in a different direction," they said. What they didn't say was that Reynolds Tech had quietly offered them better terms. Faster service, lower prices. Anna didn't steal, they chose her because she was simply better. Mark's stock price dipped. Articles appeared. Is Thompson Tech losing its edge? Investors concerned about delayed launches. Mark blamed bad luck, blamed the market, blamed everyone but himself. At home, things were worse. Sophia spent more and more time away. Girls' trips to Europe, shopping in Paris, parties in Miami. Their fights echoed through their mansion. She called him weak. He called her spoiled. The love they once flaunted had turned toxic. Mark drank too much at business dinners. He snapped at employees. Good people left. The company started bleeding talent. And through it all, Anna watched calmly. She received weekly reports from her private investigator. Photos. Mark leaving a bar alone, looking tired and unshaven. Sophia laughing with younger men at clubs. Bank statements showing their accounts shrinking fast. Anna never laughed at the photos. She didn't cheer, but she felt something cold and steady settle in her chest. Justice. Not loud, not cruel, just inevitable. Now the gala would be the perfect stage for the next move. Anna had arranged everything perfectly. Mark's company was one of the sponsors. He had paid a fortune for a prime table near the stage, desperate to be seen as still important. He would be there with Sophia, both dressed to impress, smiling for cameras, pretending everything was fine. Anna and David would attend quietly. No announcement, no fanfare, just two wealthy philanthropists supporting a good cause. But Anna had made one small arrangement with the event organizers, a silent auction item donated anonymously by Reynolds Tech. Exclusive licensing rights to those crucial patents Mark needed so badly. The bidding would start high, very high. Mark would see it. He would recognize what it was. He would bid everything he had left to save his company. And he would lose, because Anna had already decided. The patents would go to one of Mark's direct competitors, a company she secretly controlled. The winner would be announced live on stage in front of everyone. Mark would watch his last hope slip away in public. Cameras would catch the moment his face fell. Whispers would spread through the room. And Anna? She would be sitting calmly at her table, sipping champagne, watching it all unfold. David walked over and placed his hands on her shoulders. "You don't have to be there when it happens," he said softly. "We can stay home. Let it happen without you seeing his face." Anna turned and looked up at him. "No, I need to see it. Not because I enjoy his pain, but because I need to know it's really over. That the woman he called baggage is the one holding all the power now." David kissed her forehead. "Then I'll be right beside you. Always." That night, Anna tucked Liam into bed. He was growing so fast, tall for his age, with David's kind eyes and her determined smile. "Mama," Are you going to a party? He asked sleepily. Yes, sweetheart. A big party with Daddy. Will there be cake? Anna laughed softly. Probably a lot of cake. He yawned and hugged his stuffed bear. I love you, Mama. I love you more, she whispered, kissing his forehead. Tears pricked her eyes. Not from sadness, but from gratitude. This little boy was her whole world, and no one would ever hurt them again. As she closed his door, her phone buzzed. A message from her investigator. Target confirmed attending gala. Sophia booked separate hotel suite for after-party with friends. He'll be alone when it hits. Anna stared at the message for a long time. Phase 1 was almost complete. The cuts were deep now. Bleeding had started. But the final wound, the one that would end it all, was still coming. At the gala, would Mark finally realize something was wrong? Or would he walk blindly into the trap that had been waiting for him for 5 long years? The night of the tech leaders' ball arrived like a storm waiting to break. The grand hotel ballroom sparkled under dozens of crystal chandeliers. Golden light danced on champagne glasses. Soft classical music floated above the murmur of hundreds of voices. Women in glittering gowns and men in perfect tuxedos moved like actors on a stage, smiling, shaking hands, pretending the world was perfect. Anna stepped into the room on David's arm, and heads turned. The emerald silk gown hugged her body like it was made for a queen. Diamonds glittered at her throat and ears. Her hair was swept up elegantly, showing the graceful line of her neck. She walked with quiet confidence, her hand lightly resting on David's arm. He looked handsome in his black tuxedo, tall and strong, his eyes only on her. They did not announce their arrival. No flashing cameras rushed toward them. Anna wanted it that way. She wanted to watch first. Mark and Sophia were already at their table near the stage. Mark wore a tuxedo that strained slightly at the shoulders. He had put on weight from stress and late-night drinking. His smile looked forced. Sophia, in a bright red dress cut low and tight, laughed too loudly at something a younger man whispered in her ear. She barely looked at Mark. Anna's table was across the room, in the shadows. Perfect. She sat gracefully, accepting a glass of champagne from a waiter. David leaned close. You look breathtaking, he whispered. And strong. I'm proud of you. Anna squeezed his hand. Her heart beat fast, but not from fear, from power. The evening moved slowly. Speeches, awards, applause. Anna watched Mark. He clapped when he was supposed to, but his eyes kept darting to his phone under the table. He was nervous. He had to be. The silent auction item, the patents he needed, was coming up soon. Finally, the auction part of the night began. The host, a famous news anchor, stepped onto the stage with a bright smile. Our next item is truly special, he announced. Exclusive licensing rights to the groundbreaking Reynolds tech patents in AI integration. These are the keys to the future of our industry. Bidding starts at $50 million. The room hushed. Eyes turned to Mark. Everyone knew Thompson Tech needed these patents to survive. Mark stood quickly, raising his paddle. 50 million. Another bidder, a representative from a rival company, raised theirs. 60. Mark's face tightened. 75. The bids climbed fast. 80. 90. 100 million. Mark was sweating now. Sophia rolled her eyes and checked her phone. He bid again. 120. The room gasped. It was an insane amount for a company already struggling. The rival bidder paused, then raised 150 million. Mark went pale. He hesitated, looked at Sophia. She was texting someone. Ignoring him, he looked around the room, desperate. Then he stood one last time. 175 million, he shouted, voice cracking. Silence fell. No one countered. The host smiled. Going once, twice sold. To bidder number 42. Mark exhaled, sinking into his chair. Relief washed over his face. He thought he had won. He thought he had saved everything. Anna sipped her champagne, her face calm. David's hand rested on hers under the table. The host continued. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the winning bidder has requested to reveal their identity tonight. Please welcome the true power behind this donation, Mrs. Anna Reynolds Harrington. The spotlight swung across the room and landed on Anna. She stood slowly, elegantly. The room erupted in applause. Many knew her as David's wife, the quiet philanthropist who gave millions to mothers and children. But no one knew the full truth. Yet, Mark's head snapped up. His eyes locked on her. Confusion, then recognition. His mouth fell open. Anna walked toward the stage, every step steady. Cameras flashed. Whispers rippled through the crowd. She took the microphone from the host, her voice clear and calm. "Thank you," she began. "These patents will go to a company that values innovation, integrity, and family, not greed." She turned directly to Mark. Their eyes met across the room. "Hello, Mark." The room went dead silent. "You may remember me as Anna Thompson, the woman you called baggage, the worthless failure you left pregnant and alone." Gasps echoed. Phones came out. People started recording. Mark stood, face white. "Anna? What is this?" "This," Anna said, her voice strong and steady, "is Reynolds Tech, my company, my grandfather's legacy, the one that has been quietly outpacing yours for years, the one that just took the patents you needed, because I decided you don't deserve them." She nodded to the side. A large screen behind her lit up. Documents appeared, emails where Mark bragged about leaving his pregnant wife, bank records showing how he drained their joint account, even audio from the day he left her, recorded secretly by a neighbor who heard the shouting. "You threw us away," Anna continued, tears in her eyes but voice unbroken. "You called our son not your problem. But we rose. We thrived. And now your empire falls because of your own choices." Mark stumbled forward. "This is insane. You can't." Security appeared quietly at his side. Sophia stood up, furious. "Who is this woman, Mark? What did you do?" Mark had no words. He looked broken, small. Anna's final words were soft but carried through the silent room. Galatians 6 verse 7. "A man reaps what he sows. You sowed cruelty. Now reap the harvest." She stepped down from the stage. David met her, arms open. She walked out on his arm as the room exploded in noise. Cameras flashing, people shouting questions. Outside, in the quiet limo, Anna finally let the tears fall. Not from pain, from release. "It's over," David whispered, holding her close. "Yes," she said. "It's finally over." 5 years later, Mark worked a low-paying job at a small repair shop, fixing phones for minimum wage. His company was gone. Bought for pennies by Reynolds Tech. Sophia had left him, taking what little money remained. He lived in a tiny apartment, alone, haunted by memories. Some nights he saw Anna's face on charity billboards, smiling, powerful, happy with her family. Anna, David, and Liam lived in peace. They traveled, laughed, loved. Liam grew strong and kind, never knowing the full story of his biological father's cruelty. Anna never looked back with hate, only forward with gratitude. Friends, never forget, what you do to others comes back to you. Treat people with kindness, because one day, the person you hurt might rise higher than you ever dreamed. Thank you for watching our story. If you felt Anna's pain and her victory, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a story. Tell us in the comments. Have you ever seen someone reap what they sowed? We read every comment. See you in the next one. God bless.